Three California high school students have been suspended after a video of them abusing a black doll named Shaniqua goes viral. In the video, several students from Salinas High School are seen abusing the black doll and placing the toy in sexual positions. Parents say this is not the first time an incident of this caliber has occurred in the school or the district. In a statement, the Salinas Union High School District condemned the terrible act and said in part, the SUHSD does not condone this type of behavior. And although the district has taken steps to support our African American students and staff, this recent incident demonstrates how much more support is needed. We urge families to also take time to talk with their students about the damaging effects of racist behavior. Counseling is available at all of our school sites for any students who may need support. Racism and racial injustice are in direct opposition to the district's values. Our district will continue our efforts to show that racism and racial injustice have no place in our schools. We are committed to maintaining a safe, positive school environment where all students, staff, parents, guardians, and community members are treated with respect and dignity. Members of the Salinas High School community and the general public continue to swarm social media and online platforms to express their frustration. Bringing back the panel to discuss this. You know, Kelly, when I saw this story and I saw the degree to which they were not only harping physical abuse on this doll, but also sexual abuse on this doll, it really made me think about the degree to which the Black body has historically been dehumanized in this country, both with regards to physical violence and sexual violence, irregardless of sex, right? So, what does this tell us about the fact that we like to think that the younger generation is going to be so much less racist? But honestly, it doesn't look like it, does it?
It doesn't, but that's also evidence of racism being taught, because it's not like you're born a racist. This is evidence that at home, issues such as race and teaching your children about cultural differences and racial differences and embracing humanity as a whole, those are not discussions being talked about at the kitchen table with these white families. You're talking, when you said that, it's evidence of our bodies being dehumanized. Specifically, it is evidence of Black women being hypersexualized, dehumanized, and frankly, disregarded. And the overquoted but ever so relevant quote from Malcolm X being, the Black woman is the most disrespected in this country. I mean, that rings true here. This is disturbing on so many levels, because it's not like this was a human blow-up doll. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that would have been any better, but the fact that this is representative of a child, and they're doing this to a doll that is representative of a Black child, that shows you just how insidious and how ingrained their racism is. And these kids, I'm sure they just saw it as a joke. They see stuff on TikTok all the time. They see the lax approaches to race in their own families and in their environments. They probably didn't think this was a big deal outside of it being a joke. But that in itself is a problem, and there have been plenty of studies regarding just interacting with dolls and what that says about human behavior. I mean, going so far back as Brown versus Board, the doll test regarding that. And there have been doll tests since then that have shown how we interact as humans when, like how we interact in regards to how we treat the doll. So the fact that they saw this child, this Black child, and they did this to a Black child as they themselves are children. That part is more disturbing to me than the fact that they just, trashed a toy. It's more insidious than that. There's layers to it.
Absolutely, there are layers to it. And before the break, Mike, we were just talking a minute ago about critical race theory. And to me, one of the more interesting arguments that I oftentimes hear from those on the right who are saying, oh my goodness, critical race theory, we don't need that in school. It's making our kids feel as if they're the bad guy. And by the way, my kid's not racist. And we're just teaching them that they're going to be racist. Hell, these kids are racist. I'm sorry. I'm going to go ahead and say that. Okay. Somebody needs to teach them something. I mean, what do you think this tells us about what's lacking in our school system? Because I agree with Kelly. It came from someplace. It came from home. So at some point, there needs to be an intervention. Why not have that intervention be embedded in our educational system?
Well, yeah, it should be embedded in our educational system. And just for clarification and support for people to understand that critical race theory is not taught in K through 12. That's a legal analysis,
That's
basically
exactly
taught
right.
in grad school and legal
I
schools.
took the class.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
did
See,
too,
critical.
and that's what I was
It's
working
not.
on my PhD.
What'd you say, Kelly?
No,
What'd you
I
say,
was
Kelly?
saying I took that's a law course. Like I took
Right.
the class.
Right, exactly. So, see, this whole fight over critical race theory is just to put under an umbrella critical race theory thing that white conservatives don't like dealing with racist, systemic racism and slavery. Okay, now it's important for people to understand. Let me just dissect this quickly. The dehumanization of African people has always been entertainment for this country. You go back to 1828, 1829, T.D. Rice, Thomas Dartmouth Rice creates the Jim Crow character. And he puts on blackface and tattered torn clothing and adopts a Southern dialect to dehumanize and lampoon and imitate enslaved Africans. Okay, and the minstrel shows become the most popular form of entertainment in this country. You go to 1916. There's a man named Harry C. Brown who recorded a song on Columbia Records called N-Word Love a Watermelon, Ha Ha Ha. That's the name of the song. It becomes a big hit. It's on YouTube. You can listen to it. So the history of this country, the history of slavery has to be taught in every school across this country, because what we're seeing is we're seeing a dehumanization of African Americans that is replicated in media. Okay, I'm about to take it there. The only reason why R. Kelly allegedly was able to do what he did allegedly is because the majority of his alleged victims were black women and black girls. Because if he was outside of a high school, allegedly talking to 15, 16, 17-year-old white girls, that would have stopped years ago. Okay, period. He'd either be in prison or somewhere else. That's all there is to it. But when you have African women who are looked at as the most disrespected women in America, okay, this is how something like this is able to happen. This is the reason why you would never have any type white female stars do a song like WAP. White corporations, white record companies would not let Taylor Swift, they would not let no white woman do a song like WAP. And the bass line says there's some whores in this house. That's how they think of us. That's why they're able to do it. And if you don't believe me, all you got to do is look at the fact that there was an online petition that a bunch of white people put together to have Kylie Jenner, who's a billionaire and white, digitally removed from the video. The reason why was because they were trying to rescue her, because you only protect what you respect. You only protect what you respect. So you let those Negroes be the whores in the house. You let those Negroes do stuff like that, because that's how they think of us. Lastly, if you read the details of this doll, the doll's face was reportedly altered to give it the appearance of having abnormally big lips and a facial tattoo. Okay, so with the big lips is a stereotype, once again, of African Americans, and we saw that in the minstrel shows. We saw that in the Amos and Andy radio show, things like that. So, yeah, you got to deal with this history. We have to call this out. And I want to see what type of discipline is going to happen, and how is the school district going to make sure nothing like this happens in the future either.
You know, that's an excellent point, because, you know, the school district, Adrian, put out a nice little statement that I think they hope is going to keep them out of the damn courthouse with lawsuits. Okay. They put out a nice little statement, but there's nothing in the statement about what is actually going to happen to the students who were engaged in this abusive and racist behavior. They were suspended. Okay. Thank you. So the students were suspended. I wonder for how long. I mean, to me, you know, I just really, so I wonder really how.
Unless it's an expulsion and it's on like somebody's collegiate record so that they don't get into the dream school of their choice, it's pretty lax.
Yeah,
absolutely.
no,
I agree. What would you like to see, Adrian? What really would, because there has to be, to me, there has to be a remedy that's at least as egregious as the offense in order for people to be disincentivized from doing something similar in the future. What would you like to see happen when we see things like this occur in school districts? Because I just feel like too often, particularly when the perpetrators are white, people are most likely to say, well, you know, kids are kids, let boys be boys, let girls be girls. And as you mentioned, Kelly, it does not follow them in the same way that the smallest little infraction ends up putting kids in courtrooms, Black kids in courtrooms with the school to prison pipeline, and they can never get out from under that stain on their record. What should happen to these types of students?
No, I think there's a couple different channels here on this, because one is the irony that the school district is going to say, oh, well, we just need more racial sensitivity and DEI training, which is essentially critical race theory. But in the same breath, oh, but we don't need that as part of our curriculum to stop this in the first place. Like that piece needs to be addressed. And I think anyone who says we don't need critical race theory like curriculum in our grade schools and in our high schools, videos like this, other videos like the ones that came out of Chicago where they were taunting and chanting racial epithets at this Marist High School here in Chicago. Like, these are the videos that need to be shown as proof evidence and proof positive that this kind of education and curriculum is desperately needed in schools, because children clearly aren't getting this curriculum or these social ideals at home. The other piece of this that I would agree with Kelly on is that there needs to be real discipline here. A suspension is basically a vacation for kids to play video games at home. And the homes that these kids are coming from are more likely to reward their behavior than punish them for it. So that's not teaching them any lesson. It's reinforcing negative behavior. So, you know, I agree. I think there needs to be some civil lawsuits filed. I think the parents of Black students need to get together and file a class action suit against the district, and that these children and their families need to be named in court documents that are FOIable. And therefore, when they go and apply for college, the colleges can say and do their due diligence, like, I don't know that we need to invite them to Harvard University because they were on Insta smashing a Black baby's face into the concrete. Like, I think that there need to be very clear repercussions for this, because suspensions alone aren't going to cut it. And the district better get their act together. That's all I got to say, because DEI training that's optional,
Nowhere near enough. Absolutely.
No, not at all.
Back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. Seek.com. We're partnering with them, of course. We appreciate their support right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Check out a couple of their products that you can take advantage of.
And you're watching us on Seek.
What's going on? This Quavo Huncho, but right now you in the Huncho's world. Please let the music play.
Enjoy the Seek.com video by using one of their virtual reality headsets. All you do is just pop your phone right here into the VR headset and enjoy the content. You can also take advantage of their 360-degree headphones. These headphones here come in a couple of colors, black and gold, but then also all gold. And so you can check these out. If you want to use our promo code to get a discount, it's RMVIP21, RMVIP21. Then, of course, a portion of the proceeds comes back to Roland Martin Unfiltered, which allows for us to fund the show. And so this is a Black-owned company, and we certainly believe in supporting Black-owned companies. Mary Spio is the founder. And so, again, go to Seek.com and use the promo code RMVIP21.